objective of today's introduce the subject of soil fertility and see how soil fertility is important for sustainable agriculture. You will also learn different soil fertility classes and factors affecting soil fertility. You will also know what is the difference between soil fertility and productivity, and further soil fertility and plant nutrition. So, as you know, soil fertility is the status of available nutrients available for the plant growth, and it also includes the suitable conditions for water uptake as well as the root growth. Root growth should be optimum so that plants can access nutrients. Uh, Definitely, there are three classes of soil fertility: physical, chemical, and biological. And most of the time, people treat chemical fertility as soil fertility. If you add physical and biological properties to it, it becomes your soil productivity. Yes, can you hear me or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's okay.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So don't feel shy. If you really have any problem, you can just stop me. I will not mind it, and it has really nothing to do with your examination. Don't fear. Feel free. There's just like treat me just like your friend. So, uh, uh, if any hitch come, if any problem come, you can inform me. Okay? Don't feel. Don't feel. Just be very friendly. So, biological soil fertility, as I told you, there are many microbes or other organisms in the soil. They are contributing directly or indirectly to make certain nutrients available. Like your azotobacter, azospilum, they give you nitrogen in the soil. AM fungi, they solubilize phosphorus, they transport phosphorus. So there are many more microbes which are involved in mineralization, decomposition, and so on. So all these microbes are directly or indirectly contributing towards meeting the nutritional requirement of the plants. So that particular section is known as biological soil fertility. Chemical soil fertility is the capacity of the soil to provide suitable chemical environment. Suitable chemical environment here means providing optimum pH, providing higher cation exchange capacity, organic matter, humus, etc. that contribute towards meeting the nutritional requirement of the crop. Physical fertility, similarly, the contribution of physical environment of the soil towards meeting the nutritional requirement of crop is physical soil fertility. And it has been defined first time by Abbott and Murphy. And now see, as I told you, that soil fertility is a manageable soil fertility. It can go from best to the worst. Depending upon the management, it can go from the best to the worst. Please switch off your microphone. Uh, so let us see how management can affect the fertility. If you take fertility into three, biological, chemical, and physical fertility, you can see in your slide. Are you able to see your slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ashok,
Yes, sir.
Ashok Singh, where is Ashok
Yes, sir.
Singh? Okay. Abhishek, Abhishek, okay. So you see, management of organic matter is very, very important. So what is the role of organic matter in three different kind of fertility classes: biological, chemical, physical? In first column, see management option. In second column, you see biological processes or biological properties, then chemical, and followed by physical properties in the last column. So you see organic matter addition. If you add organic matter into the soil, it at first it increases the microbial population. Variety of microbes start getting multiplication because this organic matter is the food for them and they multiply. They also take up certain nutrients from the organic matter. But sometimes there is Yeah, pardon? What is the source of organic matter? Pardon, you repeat it. I'm not able to hear you. You give me a call on the phone otherwise. Anyway, if your question is where from this organic matter is coming, it can come from the plant roots, it can come from the leaf fall, it can come from the crop use added, it can come from the manures, and it can come from microbes themselves. So there are different sources of organic matter, and as we add organic matter in the soil, it increases microbial population. These microbes utilize the nutrients present in organic matter. If there is shortage of nutrients from the organic matter, then they take up nutrients. Yes. So if there is deficiency of nutrients in the organic matter, then they take up the nutrients which are already available in the soil. And that process leads to immobilization of nutrients and temporarily increase in CN ratio. And so far chemical changes are concerned, chemical fertility is concerned, addition of organic matter results in increased availability of nutrients, particularly nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. You know, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur could be part of proteins or nitrogenous compounds. And also, it increases the cation exchange capacity. By adding humus, ultimately, humus is formed in the soil from organic matter. And this humus is a colloidal matter. You know, colloids, soil colloids. So, soil colloids contribute to cation exchange capacity. So therefore, addition of organic matter increases cation exchange capacity and eventually decreases the CN ratio. So, and third one is that organic matter improves physical soil property. As I just told you, there is production of humus in the soil, and this humus increases aggregation, and this aggregation leads to improved soil structure. And once your soil structure is improved, better soil structure allow free growth of roots and more aeration, better aeration, and better water holding capacity. So you can see the role of organic matter in biological, chemical, and physical fertility or physical properties of the soil. So in this case, as I told you, that soil fertility is a manageable property. Means if the farmers want to influence or want to improve the soil fertility, they must add organic matter into the soil. So organic matter is a manageable property. You can manage it. If you are not adding organic matter or anyhow, it is not being added into the soil, it will definitely reduce your all kind of fertility. Yes, please. Any question? You can ask question on my mobile also if you have any problem. अरे हर्ष मोबाइल दिया है. Yes. Should I continue?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If any urgent question is there, you can call me on mobile. Okay, I will answer you. But thing is that you should be able to hear me. So first management option, I just discussed that how soil fertility is a manageable soil property. Number two is crop rotation. So crop rotations, friends, are very, very important these days. You should learn more and more about crop rotations. So crop rotations are very, very important to sustain productivity. These days, climate changes are occurring. In climate changes, you know, people are professing conservation agriculture. In conservation agriculture, they say there are three principles of conservation agriculture. No tillage or minimum tillage, covering the surface of the 30% surface of the land, surface of the soil, and crop rotations. You see, you can see role of crop rotations in conservation agriculture. If you see organic agriculture, In organic agriculture also, you cannot have good production, good organic crop production unless you have crop rotations. And now in conventional agriculture also, you cannot make it sustainable unless you switch over to crop rotations. Means rotation of crops are very important to sustain fertility, to sustain productivity in any kind of system. So you see how these crop rotations are playing roles. They play a variety of roles in soil fertility. First, you see how they can influence the chemical properties. So if you follow crop rotations means growing various kinds of crop in sequences. In sequences, you have a sequence. First, you are taking a cereal crop, then you are taking a legume crop, and different. You are also diversifying the cereal crop. One time I am taking rice, next time I may take maize, third time I may take pigeon pea in Kharif. Similarly, in winter season or Rabi season, one time I can take wheat, next time I can take mustard, next time I can take barsim. So it is just rotation of the crop, means change of crop every time, every year is your crop rotation. So crop rotations are very important to maintain the biological property of the soil. And how they maintain biological property of the soil. If you are growing one kind of crop, year after, say rice wheat, just you are taking rice wheat, rice wheat, rice wheat. This may be treated as monoculture because rice and wheat are quite similar in their root behavior, in their shoot behavior, in their all kind of physiology. They are very similar plants, rice and wheat. So if you take rice and wheat, the root exudates which are left in the soil are of similar kind, only monotonous. So these bacteria or microbes which are living in soil, they become very distasteful. They become very distasteful about the root exudates. So their multiplication or biological growth reduces in the soil. But if you have variety of crops, if you have different varieties, legumes, cereals, pulses, oil seeds, or sugar cane and so on. So what will happen if you change the crop? These crops will change the nature of the root exudates. Root exudates will be of different kind. And then the variety of microbes will also increase. A particular plant root which attracts a group of organism, the another kind of root or another kind of plant roots will attract another variety of organism. So this way one can easily increase the diversity of the organism in the soil. So by adopting crop rotations, we increase above ground biodiversity as well as below ground biodiversity. And this biodiversity is very important for sustaining production, for sustaining even human existence. These days we are talking about biodiversity, because the one life depend upon other. If one tree is cut, if one tree is cut or felled, how many lives will be destroyed? You can imagine, starting from ants, small ants, microbes, up to birds or up to kite or many big organisms make trees their houses. So in the food web, in the link, if one organism is missing, the rest of the organism will also die. So this interrelationship of microbes in soil is very important. And this diversity and quantity of microbes or organism in the soil is very much influenced by the crop rotations of crops. If you have variety of crops, it will lead to the increased variety of organism, their diversity in the soil. Yes. Hello. So similarly, if you have above ground biodiversity, you will have more friendly insects. If you are growing one kind of crop season after season, year after year, the enemies will be more. But if you change the crop, the enemies will become less and friendly insect will be more. So this is how these crop rotations are important for biological fertility. They also decrease the CN ratio. If you follow crop rotations, it can lead to decrease in CN ratio. It is the main reason is that now you have increased microbial diversity in the soil, and they can do the job of decomposition faster. Fast, fast decomposition of organic matter means reduction in CN ratio. So this is important. And further, you are having rotation. That means you are also having leguminous crops in the rotation. So if you have leguminous crop in the rotation, they will add more of nitrogen. So therefore, CN ratio will be decreased. And finally, the changes in physical property also happen due to crop rotation. If agronomy student might be knowing certain principles of crop rotation. Principles of crop rotations in this deep-rooted crops should be followed by shallow-rooted crop, something like that. So if you have different crops following the rotation of the crops, then the root depth will be different. It is kind of biotillage which is done by the plant roots. So shallower roots will dig the soil, shallow depth, and then the deeper, the plants which are having deeper roots will plow the land in the deeper layer. Means it improves the soil structure. So soil structure is improved by adopting crop rotations. Could you hear it?
Yes, sir.
Debu,
Yes, sir.
Debru, Chinmay Roy, Chinmay is there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Bro.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
So could you hear it?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
You can ask
Yes.
question now. You can ask questions. Please ask if you have any doubt in your mind. You can ask. Up to now, if you have any question, you can ask. Any point of discussion? Anamika?
Yes,
Anamika
sir.
Burman? Okay, you are
Yes,
from
sir.
good. Any
Yes,
question
sir.
Sir?
from you?
No, sir.
No question. Yes, any other? So now we move to the next slide. Kindly change the slide. Can you see your slides now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Good. Very good. Now, as I was discussing about that the soil fertility is a manageable soil property. So last two things. First was organic matter, and second was what was second?
Rotation.
Crop rotation.
Crop
So
rotation.
these two practices are in the hands of the farmers. If he or she can manage them, then soil fertility can be improved. It can be restored. Now, third important practice is tillage. So tillage is also in the control of the farmer. So these days people are professing this minimum tillage, no tillage, conservation tillage, variety of terminology is there. But most of them saying that you do minimum tillage. So for students who are not from agronomy, I can tell you tillage. Tillage is physical manipulation of the soil for preparation of seed bed, mainly for the preparation of seed bed. Tillage is of two kinds. One is primary tillage, other is secondary tillage. Primary tillage is the first plowing of the land. First plowing, deep plowing of the land with moldboard plow, means the plow which goes deeper, turning. It turns the soil, and then after that you will have plowing, cultivator, and then intercultural operations. That is part of secondary. So, hello. So tillage means
Yes, sir. It is not audible. Some
माइक्रोफोन
noise
किसी
out
का
there.
किसी का
Yes,
माइक्रोफोन
sir. हाँ.
चलो बंद करो इसको. भाई सो रहा है, खराटे ले रहा है, क्या कर रहा है भाई? हेलो. So tillage means just plowing of the land. You can understand tillage means plowing of the land. So people are saying that do not go for much plowing of the land. Let us reduce the number of plowings or not do it at all. Because these days climate change, because of climate change, people say let us go for conservation agriculture and don't plow the land. So minimum tillage has its advantage, and conventional tillage also has advantage. So we need to see the conditions, season, and so many things we need to look into. It is not that universally we can say that conservation tillage or zero tillage is useful under all conditions. One shoe size will not fit all, you know. So one particular practice may not be fit. You cannot horizontally recommend everywhere this minimum tillage will work. But wherever it is working, it is useful. For example, they say that it increases the fauna and flora and also diversity. Definitely, there is no disturbance of the soil. There is addition of organic matter by crop residues. So you expect more biological activity in the soil. And also when you have conservation tillage or zero tillage, it is always accompanied by crop rotations. Crop rotations are inbuilt in conservation agriculture. Therefore, it will overall be interactive effect of tillage and crop rotations and crop residue. Because of all these three, the microbial population will increase. And same will happen here also. Initially, in nutrient mobilization can happen because you are adding residues on the surface. And at last, this increases the soil structure and soil properties. So overall, what is the message? That minimum tillage, least tillage help in the improvement of biological, chemical, and physical properties of the soil. Next is controlled traffic. This is inbuilt in zero tillage. If you do not have tillage, then you will not have much traffic on the soil. Traffic means movement of machinery, movement of your bullocks, movement of your people. So if there is more movement of machinery onto the soil, it makes your soil compact. And compact soil reduces your root growth and reduces the oxygen supply, and nutrient availability is affected if your soils get compact. So actually, if you control the traffic, this has got advantage, and it improves your oxygen relations, it improves your root growth, and improve the physical properties of the soil. So controlled traffic is necessary, and it is again in the control of the grower. And fertilizer. Fertilizer is manageable soil, manageable cultural practice. Because if farmers use too little fertilizer will not improve your fertility. You need to find out the optimum level of the fertilizers. But many times what happens, farmers make imbalanced use of nutrients. In some area of our country, the ratio of NPK is very, very wide. Maybe 36:9:1. Can you imagine? However, ideal is 4:2:1. But 36 means in some cases farmers are using much more of nitrogen than phosphorus and potassium, which is totally imbalanced fertilization. This imbalanced fertilization is never good. In some cases, if you see where DAP is being used in large quantity, diammonium phosphate is being used in certain areas indiscriminately, more than nitrogenous fertilizer. This phosphorus is supplied into the soil. There are some reports from Soil Science Society, Soil Science and Agriculture Chemistry Division, that certain areas in Indo-Gangetic plains have very high levels of phosphorus because farmers are using a lot of DAP. And many times they use DAP at the rate of urea. They think that they don't know what it is supplying. So there is sometimes excessive accumulation of phosphorus in the soil, which can lead to reduced zinc availability. It is happening. So you see the column before the fertilizer under biological process, high P reduces mycorrhizal colonization. This is disadvantage. Means if you use excess dose of fertilizer, they always reduce your microbial population, microbial diversity. It is being suggested. For example, in leguminous crop, if you supply nitrogen by urea, then plants will become lazy. It will not nodulate. It will not require rhizobium because nitrogen is available from the soil. So why the plant will put some extra effort to make nodules and to invite rhizobium to get oxygen from nitrogen from the air and do the job of fixation. If nitrogen is freely available to the leguminous plant, it will not go for nodulation. So such are the things. So if you add too much of fertilizer in the soil, it reduces microbial or organism activity in the soil. Similarly, decreased availability of nutrients derived from biological processes. Same thing, they are interrelated, and it has no effect on physical properties. There is no very prominent effect of fertilizer application on physical properties of the soil. But definitely in long run, some fertilizer can have effect on physical properties also indirectly by producing more biomass. If you add some extra quantity of fertilizer, it can produce some extra biomass, and then that extra biomass can increase the organic matter content in soil and hence can have some effect on the soil physical properties. So these are just 5 cases I have taken, but you can go on adding even that water management, weed management, and all cultural practices will affect the fertility of the soil. Now you see why this soil fertility is necessary for sustainable agriculture. Sustainable agriculture means the kind of agriculture which can meet out the demand of the present population without compromising the requirement of the future generation. Means tomorrow we can be 2 billion. Tomorrow we can be 2 billion. So our soil, our resources should be able to supply meet the requirement of 2 billion in next 10 years or 20 years. So that is your sustainable. If we want our agriculture to be sustainable, first we should make our soils healthy. We should enhance the fertility of the soil or maintain the fertility of the soil. So you know soil fertility, by now you understand there are 3 components: biological component, chemical component, and physical component in soil fertility. All these components, you just see agronomic practices. All these 3 properties or components, chemical, physical, and biological, are being influenced by agronomic practices. So if we manipulate, if we improve agronomic practices, you go back, we can improve the fertility. And these improved agronomic practices will improve the fertility and productivity. And finally, it is leading to the sustainable agriculture. So maintenance of soil fertility is very, very important for sustainable agriculture. Now, we will discuss about the components or the factors that affect soil fertility. So friends, you may be asked sometimes 3 questions. One is, what are the components of soil fertility? This will be question number 1. And how these components are affected. What are the factors that affect the soil fertility component? This is question number 1. Question number 2, what are the factors that affect the fertility of the soil? So this is question number 2. Question number 3 will be, what are the factors that will affect the productivity of the soil? Number 4, what are the factors that affect the nutrient availability, that affect the availability of the nutrients, or that affect the soil fertility? The answer will be almost the same. Whether it is factors affecting nutrient availability, factors affecting soil fertility, or factors affecting crop productivity or soil productivity, almost same. It is just presentation. Your brinjal will remain same whether you make vegetable, whether you make bharta, whether you put it in sandwich, it does not matter. So most of the factors will remain same. Only your explanation you can mold, you can modify your explanation about this. So better to understand these factors which affect the fertility of the soil. So we will discuss that which factor will make your soil fertile and which factor will make your soil less fertile or infertile. So we will see, for example, soil depth. Soil depth is very important factor factor that determine the fertility of the soil. There may be variety of soil depth in India, in the world. Some soils are very shallow, some soils are medium in depth, and some soils are very deep. So in your view, do you think that shallow soil should be more fertile than the deep soil in general? So it will be shallower soils will have less fertility than the deeper soil. It is general, may not be always true, but generally speaking, shallow soils have low fertility than the deeper soils. Normally 1 meter soil depth is enough for our agricultural crops. For your trees or food crops, you need more deeper soils, maybe 5 meter, 4 meter, something like that. So soil depth affects your fertility, because if your soil is very shallow, it will not facilitate the good root growth. Good root growth is necessary. If root growth is not there, then your organic matter will not increase in soil, microbial activity will not increase in soil. So generally we want at least medium depth soils are important. So soil depth influences your soil fertility, and then how it can influence the nutrient availability. Soil depth. Because if your soil depth is small, if it is less, then the volume of soil is very less. If depth is less, that means volume of soil is low. If volume is low, then the nutrient content will be low. The total amount of nutrient will be low, because amount of soil is low in shallower soils. So amount of nutrient is also low. Therefore, once the nutrient amount is low, the availability will be low. Then soil structure is also important component of soil fertility. And if you ask me, sir, which one is the most important soil property? To me, it is soil structure. Hello?
Yes,
Please
sir.
switch off your microphone. Somebody's...
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So soil structure is in my view, may not be right. Hello? Yes?
Hello.
Okay. So soil structure is the most important property. Every student in this group today, I am proposing some homework to know more on soil structure. What is soil structure? See the different classes of soil structure, and what is the significance of soil structure in nutrient availability, how it is useful in nutrient availability. Certain important roles I can tell you about soil structure. It may be good, it may be bad. Single grained structure is not good, and crumbly structure is considered as the best. So the best soil structure gives you good aeration, good water supply, good water holding capacity, good growth of the roots. Plant roots growth is good. And the most importantly, the good soil structure increases microbial diversity and microbial biomass. So soil structure, in my view, is the most important soil property, which directly or indirectly affects many other soil properties. So better to have more understanding of soil structure. You can go to any journal, research journal like Geoderma. Just type or go to Science Direct. In Science Direct, you just type uh, soil structure, a review, or review of soil structure. And then you will find very fantastic reviews or books on this subject. So here, if you have good soil structure means good soil fertility, poor soil structure means poor soil fertility. Now, next property is texture, soil texture. Soil texture is your size of different grains which make up your soils, particles, soil particles. And I think most of you know how this soil texture is divided into different classes. A soil generally having sand, more proportion of sand, is poor in fertility, and soil which is having more proportion of clay is generally fertile. These are certain general conclusions that sandy soils, light soils are poor in soil fertility, and heavier soils, heavy soils, clay soils are in general good in soil fertility. So soil texture affects the fertility of soil. Because if your soil texture is very loose, very light, or grains are thicker in size, more sand, that means leaching can happen fast. The water holding capacity will be very low, so microbial growth will be affected. And also it is by nature that organic matter content in light soils is also low. So therefore, light soils, sandy soils are poor in fertility, and clay soil or heavier soils are rich in soil fertility. So soil texture will therefore also affect the nutrient availability. Next is your content of the nutrients. Content of the nutrients is actual soil fertility. Means if a soil is not rich in nutrients, it is infertile, it is less fertile. If a soil contains large status or more amount of nutrients, then it is good in fertility. It is very general conclusion, general understanding, because soil fertility is the uh, content of nutrients, how much nutrients are available in the soil, the status of their availability. If your status of nutrient is more, that means soil is fertile. If their status is low, soil is not fertile. Soil is not good fertile. Similarly, and therefore, based upon this, we have made certain soil fertility classes. You remember low, medium, high. Low, medium, high for nitrogen, for phosphorus, for potassium, for organic matter, and also for certain micronutrients. We have critical levels. If nutrient is below this, then soil is low in nitrogen, low in phosphorus. If more than this, then it is rich in phosphorus. So therefore, we have soil fertility classes also. Next is your storage capacity of the nutrients. Storage capacity of the nutrients depends upon your cation exchange capacity and some physical properties of the soil. So cation exchange capacity is more in soils which contain more humus, which contain more clay colloids. So soils which has more storage capacity or more cation exchange capacity will be higher in fertility compared to soil which is low in cation exchange capacity. Soil pH and reaction, it is also an important chemical property which affect the soil fertility. So in this case, we want to have an ideal range of soil pH, so that all the nutrients are available at right proportion. If you go on decreasing the pH of the soil, then certain nutrients will become toxic, like iron, manganese, or maybe copper will become, or aluminum will become toxic if you bring down soil pH to 5 or lower than that. So you need to keep your soil pH around, say, 6 to 7.5 or 6.5 to 7.5, where most of the nutrients are available in ideal range. So definitely I need not to go into much details. Most of you understand the relationship of soil pH and nutrient availability. You can see the picture before you. You can see pH is governing the availability of different nutrients. So most of the nutrients are available in the pH range of 6.5 to 7.5. And then content of detrimental or toxic substances. Many times a soil may contain certain pesticides, certain chemicals, certain heavy metals, and variety of poisonous materials can enter our soil. How these materials can enter our soils? First thing is that farmers use pesticides indiscriminately. Some pesticides are directly used into the soil, like herbicides, or soil applied insecticides are used, or maybe certain fungicide seed treatment is done. So anyhow, many pesticides can reach our soil. Secondly, irrigation water. If it is sewage water, then it can carry certain heavy metals and toxic materials into the soil. So what these pollutants are doing? Their first job is they can directly affect your plant, your crops, and indirectly they can be harmful to the microbes or organism in the soil. So once your microbial population is reduced, then the decomposition and availability of nutrient will certainly reduce. Quantity and activity of soil organism, more the activity, more fertile is the soil. Previously, it was said that earthworms are the indicators of soil fertility. Now we have variety of indicators for soil fertility, but in olden days, people will say that if your soils are rich in earthworm, means your soils are fertile. So it can go both ways. Suppose in the beginning your soil was infertile, and then slowly the population of earthworm started building up, and then these earthworms have made your soil fertile. These earthworms have made your soil fertile, or other way around, because your soil was fertile, therefore more earthworms are visiting. So it is really difficult to say that which one is responsible. But whatever reason may be, if you have more earthworms in the soil, means generally speaking, your soil is rich in humus, it is rich in organic matter. So higher the microbial activity in the soil, more is the fertility. Now, soil organic matter. So, in your view, soil organic matter is a chemical property of the soil, biological property of the soil, or physical property of the soil? Hello,
Chemical
all are
property.
chemical. One is saying chemical property. What are other views? Soil organic matter is a chemical property or physical property, or it is part of biological property.
The chemical and biological.
Chemical and
and biological.
and it is not
So
physical.
it may also include in physical poverty. Also, sir.
See,
It also.
definitely it is directly related to physical properties of the soil. Of course, it is also related to biological properties of the soil. But overall, if you are required to put into one of these, so preference goes to chemical property. So most of the people, majority of the people, consider organic matter as a chemical property. And why it is so? Why it is so? I'm explaining you. First thing is that organic matter uh, decomposes, and when organic matter decomposes, the two kind of cycles go together. One one half of the organic material is undergoing decomposition process that will lead to humus formation, humification. Part of the organic matter which is rich in nitrogenous matter is undergoing mineralization, mineralization. So these two processes, mineralization and humification, they are going hand in hand at the same time. They are running parallel. Part of organic matter is undergoing mineralization and part is going towards humification. So in mineralization, it is mostly for the proteins or amino sugars or amino acid. Nitrogenous compound go for mineralization, and other compounds, other part of organic matter go for humification. So in this case, mineralization, the nutrients are released. The nutrients are released directly. Organic matter is directly giving us nutrient. So nutrient is a chemical property. Ultimately, if you see humification, so ultimately humus is made. Of course, the chemicals are organic, humic acid, humin, fulvic acid, this and that. They are actually chemicals. Humus is chemical in nature. So this is treated as chemical property. Otherwise, once the humus is produced, this humus will improve the physical properties of the soil. It will help in aggregation, soil structure improvement, and this humus will also lead to the microbial growth in the soil. So overall, this organic matter is a chemical property, and It improves physical properties as well as biological properties of the soil. So generally speaking, as your organic matter increases in the soil, your fertility increases. Your fertility increases because most of the mineral soils, our soils are deficient in organic matter, particularly in tropical countries or tropical areas. There is lot of production of organic matter. If you get more rainfall in tropical areas, production is more, but at the same time, decomposition is also more. Because of high temperature, high moisture condition, decomposition is more. So in temperate areas, there is more accumulation of organic matter than the tropical areas. But if you see organic matter stand alone as a factor of nutrient availability, then it is definitely there. If you increase organic matter content in soil, it increases your fertility of the soil. So people have done a lot of work that what is the ideal level of organic matter in soil. So one cannot say with confidence, but you this is your homework. Just it is a question that you need to find out that up to what level we can increase the organic matter in the soil. That can lead to increased nutrient availability as well as increased productivity of the crop. So what should be the best levels of organic matter in soil that will give you best productivity, best soil fertility? So just think over it, because organic soils may contain very large amount of nutrients, organic matter, but they may not produce good crops. Many organic soils which may contain, I think, 30% or 20%. What is the difference between organic soil and inorganic soil? Mineral soil, you can say mineral soil and organic soil.
20%
20%.
20%. Just check it.
20%.
If it is 20%, okay. If it is 20% or more, then it is organic soil. If it is less than 20%, then it is mineral soil. So less than 20% means it can be 16%, it can be 5%, it can be 0.2%. So what should be the ideal level of organic matter? This is the question to you to find out the answer. Tomorrow, if somebody find, you please answer me. And I need not to overemphasize the role of organic matter in soil. I think most of you understand it very well. So more organic matter, more higher soil fertility. Considering the improvement in biological, physical, and chemical properties of the soil. Now, question up to here. Any question, any doubt? Any doubt? SD, who is SD? SD.
Sir, Shoptaponni.
Yeah, you are there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Who is PG? PG? PG.
Sir, Partho sir.
Okay, you are there. Aisan.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ganesh. Ganesh
Yes,
is
sir.
always present.
Yes, sir.
Kajal. Kajal Arora.
Yes, sir.
You are there. Maintain social distance. Please maintain social distance. 2-3 people are social together. And then Vipin. Vipin, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Good. So I think most of you are there. I'll take attendance. No problem. So now we move to any question. Any question? So actually last 10 minutes are left. Any question up to now? अरे microphone. Ganesh, microphone. बंद है. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, please switch off. So better not to disturb you in between. Actually, I may we can have 10 minutes discussion, 5-minute discussion at the end of the session. Okay. So now we go to the difference in soil fertility and productivity. So friends, this is very commonly talked topic. When you appear in any interview in IRI, in agronomy or soil science, or maybe somewhere in water science technology also, they ask you difference in soil fertility and productivity. And people are very happy in asking these questions, that what is fertile soil, what is productive soil, what is the difference between these two. So if you ask me personally, I find there is no difference in soil fertility and productivity. I don't see practically any difference in soil fertility or productivity. There is very thin line between these two. So just to get confused, somebody has thrown this very wild idea long back, and now people are talking too much about this topic. See, this I show you one book. This book, can you see it?
Yes, sir.
This is soil fertility and fertilizers. This is soil fertility and fertilizers. This is the best book in the world on the subject. Do you know it? This is the best book.
Yes, sir.
And I was searching the definition of soil fertility. I was searching the definition of soil fertility in this book. It is not available. I was seeing the term soil fertility in the glossary. Even in the glossary, it is not there. Soil productivity, it is not there in the glossary. You check the Brady's book. In that book also, there is no soil fertility term in the glossary. So in India, we have a fashion to use terminology without going into the deep, without understanding the real meaning of the terminology. Just we ask superficially. It is just superficial. If you go into deep in this subject, you will find no difference in fertility and productivity. But since 99% people assume that they are different, so you should also assume that they are different. Okay. So don't say that sir has told that both these terms are same. You have to say always that they are different, sir. They are different, and this is the difference. But I am giving you some food for thought. Just think over it. I'll show you why they are same. But as a student, you should always treat that they are different. Okay. Now I give you one example of shifting cultivation. Do you know zoom cultivation, shifting cultivation? Shifting cultivation is practiced in certain northeastern states of India, certain districts of northeastern seven sister states of India. So what is shifting cultivation? Somebody can tell me, please. One of you can open the mic and tell me what is shifting cultivation. Yeah, Amlan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please come forward. What is shifting cultivation?
It is the clearing or burning of the land and then.
Speak loudly. Amlan, I cannot hear you.
Sir, it is the clearing or burning of the land in the hilly slopes and then cultivating different crops.
Good. And then moving to another area and then coming back to the same area. Okay. So most of you understand what is shifting cultivation. In certain areas, people first they cut the bushes, they cut the trees and clear the land. They clear the land and do cultivation of crops for say 2-3 years or 4 years. And after they move to the another place. And same thing they repeat there. They clear the land, remove the vegetation, and then they grow the crops. And after 2-3 years, they come back to the original place. In cycles, they have kind of cycles. They will come back to the original place. They again clear the vegetation, and then they do the cultivation of the crop. So my question is, so in this case, why do they move from one place to another place? Is it productivity which has gone down, or is it fertility which has gone down? Do they move because of reduced fertility, or do they move because of reduced productivity? What is your answer?
Productivity, sir.
Sir,
Productivity, sir.
Productivity of
Productivity.
soil.
sir,
Because
the fertility is decreasing, so the productivity is also decreasing.
productivity is also decreasing. Good. So basically, so do you see any difference in these? Now, both are decreasing. Do you see any difference in them? Now, question is, have they moved because of change in fertility or change in productivity? They don't know actually. Similarly, we don't know the difference in soil fertility and productivity. They are quite linked. They are tightly bound. So practically, there is no difference in soil fertility and productivity. You will see later. I put disclaimer. I disclaimer in the beginning, very beginning. I disclaimed it that you have to always say that there is difference in soil fertility and productivity. Just I am opening your, just trying to open your eyes and think it differently. So now you see the slide. In this case, Cambridge Academic Content Dictionary, I have taken the meaning of the word from the dictionary. So dictionary says that fertile land can produce a large number of good quality crops. This is about explaining the fertile land. Fertile land can produce a large number of good quality crops. Examples: the plowed earth looked rich and dark and fertile. In order to turn the desert into fertile and productive land, engineers built an 800-mile canal. Organic farmers don't put chemicals into the soil, but keep it fertile by growing clovers and adding manure. So you can see that it is only fertile soil which can be productive, See the next. And its opposite is barren. Compare the barren. Opposite of fertile is barren land, means which cannot produce anything. Barren land cannot be productive. It cannot produce anything. Now, see another meaning. If it is used as an adjective, so fertile animals or plants are able to produce young or fruit. So it is only fertile animal or fertile land which can produce. They are linked. They are very tightly linked. People get less fertile as they get older. So it is related to productivity. Cats become fertile at about 6 months. If cat is not fertile, it cannot produce at all. Opposite is infertile. Now you see, now we will see how this productive adjective is different from fertile. So see, productive means producing or able to produce. In the last case also, only fertile soil is able to produce. Producing or able to produce large amount of goods, crops or other commodity. The most productive employees. It is just use of the word. So synonyms of productive are fertile, fruitful, rich, high, sterile or barren are the opposite. So overall, what I mean to say that very practically there is no difference in fertility and productivity. I will say, I'll teach you also what is the difference, what you need to tell. Now see, soil productivity is the crop yielding ability of a soil from a unit area. From unit area, how much a soil can produce. If I call it crop productivity means productivity of the crop. Soil productivity is the crop yielding ability of a soil from a unit area. If I put the word weed, instead of crop yielding, I can put the word weed. Soil productivity is the weed yielding ability of a soil from unit area. Weed means any green biomass. It may be crop, it may be weed. If a soil can produce too much of weed, it means it is fertile. If too much of weed, and you are not managing the weed, but soil is already fertile. Soil fertility is vital to a productive soil, but a fertile soil is not always a productive one. So you need to remember this statement. This is the statement which is asked from you. I will explain further that why they are same, why they are different. I will explain later. Soil fertility is vital to a productive soil, but a fertile soil is not always a productive one. This is the common statement. Poor drainage, weeds, insect disease, drought, and many other external factors can reduce the productivity. However, fertility was good, but certain external factor can reduce the productivity. So overall, what most of the people say, that soil fertility plus all other factors affecting the growth, it makes your soil productivity. Soil productivity is the result of interaction between soil fertility and all other growth factors. Many of the growth factors we have already discussed. All these will affect the productivity, soil productivity. So here you see, this slide I have already shown you factors affecting plant growth. So in this case, same factor, I have shown you these factors affected the fertility, isn't it? I have already shown you all these factors have affected the fertility. But don't you think that the same factor will also affect the productivity? Just think over it. Yesterday or day before yesterday, you agreed, sir, okay, all these factors are affecting the growth of the crop, and all these factors are also affecting the fertility of the soil. You can just see any factor which may not affect the fertility. Just use this may be your homework today. You come prepared with your questions tomorrow. Just you see how these factors will not affect the nutrient availability. How these factors will not affect the even socio-economic factors will not affect the nutrient availability or soil fertility. I mean to say, the factors which influence soil fertility, same factor will also influence the soil productivity. Same factors. And if you find any difference, or I will explain you how these biotic factors, abiotic factors will affect the crop productivity. The factors affect soil fertility and productivity are the same. Then what is the difference in soil fertility and productivity? This is very artificial difference. This is very, very artificial difference. And just give me 2 minutes more. I will show you the artificial difference. And okay, first you see this. Just 5 minutes more. So fertile soils are not always highly productive. This is common statement by 99% people. Fertile soils are not always highly productive, but the productive soils are always fertile. You remember this. You tell this, okay, sir, this is correct. Very fertile and productive, very fertile and very productive soils are rarely found in nature. And see the characteristics, these are the characteristics, you can go through it. Characteristics of a highly fertile and highly productive soil. Highly fertile, the characteristics are the same for highly fertile or highly productive soil. Mobilizes nutrients, transforms nutrients, stores water, offers balanced nutrients, stores and supplies waters, maintains good soil aeration, does not fix nutrients, improve crop use efficiency, provides nutrient throughout the growing cycle. So these are the important characteristics of a highly fertile and highly productive soil. You can go through it. If anything is not understood, I will tell you. These are the artificial differences. And you will definitely agree to me that these are the artificial differences. But as a student, if it is asked to you, write it. You do it. You give your answer like this. The part I have disclaimed already, disowned that part. You forget that or think over that. So in this case, soil fertility is just the status of essential plant nutrients. And soil productivity is the crop yielding ability, means how much crop can be produced from a unit soil or unit land area. The combination of soil property, fertility is combination of physical, chemical and biological properties. However, soil productivity or crop productivity is the economic concept. It is vital to a productive soil. The soil fertility is very, very vital for the productive soil. And see the another statement. A productive soil needs to be adequately fertile. And you can understand the meaning, try to see it. Organic matter improves soil fertility. Organic matter also improves your soil productivity. What is the difference then? influenced by chemical, physical, and biological conditions of the soil. This fertility, soil productivity is also influenced by almost similar factors, soil fertility plus external factors. So you can see these differences. Maybe I will continue tomorrow. Okay, this is time is over, and now I close the lecture, and I'll take your attendance. Okay.